So Libby, how did that process go for you?
Yeah, I agree with the thinking about it a lot. I mean, there was certainly a lot of that. Really, it's, you know, when it happened for us, we looked at all of the options, and the option that felt the best to us was the way that we went. And I suppose that means that, you know, our beautiful child that we brought into the world was really brought into the world based on love and what we wanted to do. And lots and lots of thought going into it, although sometimes I thought just a one-night stand, come on, this could be so much easier. But but it was a decision based on love, and it's really not until you're in that position that you realise what your rights are and what your rights aren't, and how this is different from other families, and how you have to, the things that you have to do in order to make yourself recognised. It is exactly the same as not being recognised as equal, say, if you wanted to marry a same-sex partner. Being a non-biological mother, you have to even say that. And then you would have to do a lot of rigmarole to get yourself recognised, and then you have to explain yourself, and it can be a really tough and challenging thing. No one says well, not very many people say to a man and a woman with a child, so how did you do it?
Yeah, see, my girlfriend and I, we get that. We got it at the hospital the other day. My little boy broke his toe, and the guy was there with his kid, said, how can you tell the difference between the two of them? My kid's 7. How can you tell the difference? I was like, what are you asking my son? What do you mean? I'm his mom, and that's his other mom. What do you mean?
That's right.
What kind of a question is that? It's weird,
and
right?
they're beautiful labels that we hold sacred, and apparently they can only be this, just like marriage can only be that, mother can only be this, father can only be that, uncle can only be this. And you know, if you grow up in another culture, for example, absolutely every woman in the village is your auntie. And,
correct, right?
And that's about language there. So, you know, I mean, I was in those, you know, learning to be a mum/dad classes, and it was like, all right, blokes, get on the floor, we're going to change the baby's nappy. And I would look around and go, I suppose that's me as well, not sure. But it's language, and it's about being open and honest about how these things come about, and not being afraid to name it for what it is. And for me, I'm not afraid to say mother, although other people might say something else about me, like non-biological mother. And
How do you feel about that non-biological mother? What is that? What does that trigger for you? Is that
it screams all sorts of inequality to me,
because
right? Someone can adopt a child and they're a non-biological mother, but no one goes around saying you're adopted son or your adopted daughter the entire lifetime, or
right.
You're non-biological, whatever. It's just language, and I think that, you know, if you have the centre point when children come into your life as being what is best for the child, what is best for the child is a loving environment in which to grow up.
Absolutely.
I do tend to find it really problematic when people speak about starting a family all the time, as if the only form of family that is valid is having a baby.
Yeah, totally.
Because there are so many alternative relationships and alternative tribes and communities and whatever. So I don't know, it makes me a bit uncomfortable to go, we're starting a family, we're doing this thing, this is the only thing that can possibly be constituted as a family. And I think it just, not heteronormative, but it's kind of buying into that thing.
It is a little bit.
You know, you get married, you have babies, however you do it, whatever, you know, that's the only familial structure that is important or exists.
Or maybe it's the only familial structure that's given that title of starting a family.
Yeah.
Whereas probably in our queer community, we don't say that.
I mean, I've had families that have been like, I don't know, 4 lovers and a pet person, you know, like that are whatever, that I would still consider to be like, you know,
a family.
To be a family.
Yeah.
They're my tribe, they're my crew, they're not biological children, they're not even little children, obviously, because that would be wrong. But it would, like, you know, there's all sorts of families, and I think it just, I don't know, comes across as slightly marginalising to go, we're starting a family.
Do you think we're making those changes in our communities?
I think we are, but I think also in some ways we're kind of losing them as well, because before there wasn't so much the option, like, you know, same-sex marriage wasn't on the table, you know, IVF, like all of this stuff wasn't a thing, so people had to kind of make it up as they went along. I don't know, with the whole same-sex marriage thing, it's becoming the kind of pinnacle of what we can possibly strive for, is that we can get married like straight people, which I think is nice and I think is good and it's valid, and if people want to do that, you know, whatever, that's fine. But, like, you know, I don't personally want to, but, you know, I respect that.
You were engaged once, though,
I was
weren't
engaged
you?
3 times. Yeah, 3.
3, yeah,
3.
count.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
No, I mean, I understand that, but I think, yeah, we're in some ways losing some of that. It's becoming, I don't know, a lot of the sort of interesting stuff that happened is somehow being squished a bit by this desire to kind of come out and go, yeah, we've all got babies and we're all married and we're all like lovely just like you, which feels like it's quite a push.
Now that
at the
we're all
moment.
overground,
Yeah,
that the
like-
underground is getting squished. Is that what you mean? That
Yeah.
it's a little bit more normal to be gay, but as long as you fit into
Yeah.
you know, I want to get married, I want to have a kid, as long as
Yeah.
you sit in the heteronormative.
Absolutely,
group.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's still which one of you is a boy. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly
it's still
right.
It's coming across as that, I don't know.
Again, important to have those discussions, right? And important, perhaps at times it's really important for us as a community to start considering that we need to start having these discussions.
Perhaps on the surface, because I can now say words like mother and family and I can fit into that norm, that it makes me look like that's where I started, but I can assure you
Oh no,
that,
I would never think that.
No, I can assure you, you know, nearly every single person in this room, I imagine, would have that between the sheets story that would just blow your mind, no matter what we present here tonight. But you know, no matter what language we can use to define ourselves now, there's always something else that's gone on before, that will go on after, that is part of our journey, that we're going to be part of, you know, a community that's not necessarily considered the norm or underground or overground or whatever it is. Yeah.
And I think I'd like to know from each of you, like, what you would like to see from our community moving forward.
Less policing, let's, like, you know, what's your coming out story? Who are you? What are you? Who do you fuck? How do you fuck? Whatever. Put you in a box. Like, that kind of stuff. And actually just going, whatever. Like, we're all in it together. I think that would be nice to just...
Awesome.
Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me what people do.
Maybe
But
just the stories and not the defining moment. Is that
the
what you-
stories, the practices, the whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I remember when I first came out, there was this thing of just like, you're not a proper lesbian because you fuck men. And I was like constantly having to defend myself, going, I'm bi anyway. And like, there was, I don't know, it was this constant thing that you had to live up to something that was somebody else had decided for you. That if you took on this label or you did whatever or you looked whatever, people would sort of box you in. And so I think people should just get over it and just have fun. And, like,
Excellent.
respect it.
What do you say? What would you like to see in, say, the next 10 years as you finish your degree and you move through your sexuality and your life in our community and for yourself?
I would like to see less. I'm really sorry, Libby. I would like to see less of a focus on marriage equality and more of a focus on the rights of young LGBTI people. We're often ignored as a group because a lot of us are under 18 or under 16, and therefore a lot of older gay people don't want to help us out because they might be accused of pedophilia. I would also like to see us as a community be more happy. I've lost so many friends to various things, cancer, suicide, leaving the community altogether. I would like to just see us be healthier and happier. And I'm doing a social work degree, people. I am not a doctor. I don't have all the answers, but I think marriage equality has a part to play, but ultimately, if we can target the root, which is the message that we teach our kids, that being gay is either okay or not okay, a lot of those psychosexual issues, I'm not sure if you've experienced this, Doctor, but for a lot of people, they're rooted in their childhood. I'd like to see the message that we teach our kids change.
Women say it, it's on.